Welcome back to the deep dive. This is where we sift through a whole lot of source material to hopefully give you a clear map for a pretty complex topic.
And today, it's something you really can't escape: technology and social media.
Exactly. I mean, think about it. Scrolling Instagram, WhatsApp chats, YouTube
It's
videos.
just everywhere, all the
Yeah.
time. It's the basic plumbing of how we live now.
And the sources we're looking at today, they actually frame this whole thing through language learning prep, which is, well, an interesting angle.
It is
Uh,
surprisingly useful, actually. It gives us a structure. So, our mission really is to unpack the main arguments about how all this tech affects education, communication, our lifestyles.
hmm.
But the sources, they throw in this twist. We're apparently so reliant on it, we only really notice it when, the Wi Fi dies mid exam.
Oh, that feeling. Total panic.
Right. Or, and this is interesting, when the tech itself starts kind of judging us. We'll get to that.
Yeah, that panic when the Wi-Fi drops, it really shows how dependent we are. Or maybe is it just realizing how much we've handed over to this little rectangle of glass?
I think the sources suggest it's probably both dependency and outsourcing.
Okay.
And that outsourcing idea, it leads us straight into our first big point, just how widespread and useful one source called it a mini universe.
I like that. Mini universe. It says it all, doesn't it? What makes the smartphone that, according to the sources?
Well, it's because it's this self contained world, The sources list all the daily things: studying, messaging friends, watching videos, even just setting an alarm.
Yeah,
It's not just one tool anymore, it's the place where all these core things happen.
it's way beyond just making calls now.
Oh, absolutely. The
Yeah.
main jobs are now studying, chatting, and entertainment, all bundled in your pocket. And the big plus, mentioned again and again, is that instant access. Thousands of learning resources right there.
Like a library, but instant.
Pretty much. No friction.
And we really saw that shift, didn't we? From just convenient to, well, essential during things like the pandemic. The sources mention specific examples like needing the phone for online classes, keeping up with friends.
Yeah, that's when it became basic infrastructure, right? Not just social, but like how you worked, how you learned.
Absolutely.
And even outside big crises, the personal use is huge.
Yeah.
Listening to something, maybe this deep dive right now, while you're walking or cooking.
Uh-huh. Multitasking?
Exactly. Tech's kind of mastered letting us do two things at once.
Okay, so useful, definitely. Everywhere,
Mhm.
absolutely.
Yeah.
But here comes the but, the double-edged sword. Let's shift to education because access is one thing, learning's another.
Yeah, this is where it gets complicated. That flexibility, learning anytime, anywhere from YouTube, online courses,
Mhm.
that's presented as a huge positive.
Right, ultimate freedom.
But the sources immediately bring up the counter arguments, the duality.
Okay. So tech gives access, but maybe, just maybe, it nicks our motivation. The sources talk about a laziness factor.
Yes, and that's a really key point psychologically. If getting information is always just one click away,
Mhm.
that easiness, it can actually wear away at the discipline you need for tougher, deeper work. Why learn to research if the answer pops right up?
That's a really strong point against just more access is better. And speaking of discipline,
Yeah.
social media,
Yep.
it's right there on the same device, often. Part educational tool, part massive distraction.
It's a constant battle, isn't it? The sources admit, yeah, you can learn stuff on social media, like maybe study tips on Instagram or something.
Sure.
However, and they use that word, it's also flagged as a huge distraction. It's like this internal tug of war for your focus.
So if we accept that contradiction, how do you even analyze it fairly
Yeah.
without just picking a side?
That's the challenge, right? How do you hold both ideas?
Yeah.
And this is where that language learning framework from the sources is actually
Mm.
super helpful. It's not just about listing pros and cons.
Fair.
It's about using the language, the words themselves, to balance the view. The sources specifically point out using contrastive linkers, words like however, on the other hand, at the same time.
Ah, okay. So by using those specific phrases, You're sort of forced to give weight to both sides, the good and the bad. It makes the analysis stronger than just saying it's good and bad.
Exactly. It structures the argument. It shows you're considering the complexity.
That's a really neat insight. Okay, so moving from distraction to, let's say, lifestyle impact, screen time. This is where it feels intense.
Yeah, this part is pretty sobering. The user in the source material, when they were really honest, they admitted to using their phone up to 10 hours a day.
10 hours, that's like a full-time job.
Yeah.
Just on your phone.
Uh,
Makes you almost afraid to check your own screen time report, doesn't it?
uh-huh. Mine would probably be quite embarrassing too.
Right.
But that number, 10 hours, it really hammers home the dependency level, which leads to another fascinating bit. The self-monitoring. The weekly screen time report your phone sends you?
Guilt report.
Exactly. The source used this great metaphor, feeling judged by your own device.
Huh. That's perfect.
The tool you use for everything is now basically tracking you and sort of implicitly telling you off about your self-control. It's like a silent nag.
That's a really powerful image. The tech holding up a mirror. Okay, but let's look ahead. If we're struggling now, what about when AI gets more involved in education? What do the sources predict for educational tech?
Well, the prediction is pretty bold. AI is expected to change everything. Simple as that.
Right.
And the sources highlight two big ways this is likely to happen soon.
Okay, what are they?
First, the development of genuinely personalized learning assistants. AI tutors that don't just adapt to what you know,
Uh-huh.
but also teach based on get this, your mood.
Based on your mood. Wow. Okay, that sounds incredibly efficient, like tailoring it perfectly, but also slightly creepy.
Yeah.
Did the sources talk about the downsides of that much tracking?
They mostly focused on the upside, the optimization. Like, this is learning fine tuned to your psychology. Forget one size fits all.
Okay. And the second shift.
Instant feedback,
Y-
especially for practical stuff like practicing for speaking exams.
So imagine getting detailed feedback on how you spoke, like immediately,
Yeah.
not waiting days for a teacher.
Exactly. Real time improvement closes that feedback loop right away.
That sounds genuinely useful.
It does. But interestingly, even with all these, amazing AI possibilities,
Yeah.
the hyper personalization, the instant feedback, the sources still ended on a very human note.
Which was?
That even with AI handling the drills and the mood reading, the human touch, the guidance from teachers, mentors, that's still seen as essential.
So we still need the guide, not just the engine.
Precisely. We need someone to help set the direction, the why.
Okay, so let's try and pull it all together. What's the main takeaway from this whole deep dive into our digital lives?
I think it boils down to this. Technology, yeah, it's incredibly powerful, maybe the most powerful tool we've ever had for learning and connecting. But its actual usefulness, that comes down to your discipline. The tech just amplifies what you bring to it. Focus or distraction, it's up to you.
That really puts the responsibility back on us, doesn't it? Which leads perfectly into our final thought for you, the listener, to chew on.
Okay.
Given what we just talked about, these personalized AI learning assistants that adapt perfectly to your level, even your mood, how does that change what discipline even means?
Hmm.
If the learning path is always smooth, always optimized, always easy, because the tool adjusts to you, does the struggle disappear? And if it does, what happens to our motivation? What new challenges pop up when effort feels optional?
That's a fascinating question. Maybe the future challenge isn't fighting distraction, but managing a world that's too perfectly tailored, where the friction that builds resilience is gone.
Exactly. Something to think about. We hope you'll take these ideas, utility versus distraction, convenience versus discipline, and think about how they play out in your own life and
Mm.
how you analyze things.
Yeah.
That's all we have time for on this deep dive. Thanks for joining us.